After the, shall we say, memorable events at the Gateway Club, where poor Christopher Harmer discovered more about Sapphic London than any married man should, the committee remained skeptical. Could Bronx operate in the field without igniting scandals, without bedding half of neutral Portugal? Harmer had one mission: prove it. The plan? A little jaunt to Lisbon. Coat trailing, they called it. Rather like trailing one's coat through a pub, hoping someone steps on it so you can start a fight. Except this pub was crawling with Gestapo shadows who preferred to snap necks first and ask questions never. Lisbon, you see, was technically neutral, rather like Switzerland, but with better wine and considerably more danger. Her handlers prepped her like a particularly expensive finishing school for spies. Not etiquette and flower arranging, mind you, though there were flowers involved. Coded flowers. Coded everything, actually. Coded phrases to signal British intelligence watchers lurking about as tourists, the kind of tourists who never took photographs and always sat with their backs to the wall. A Rolodex of harmless gossip about British elites, enough truth to season the lies, like salt on a rather bland diplomatic pudding. And the pièce de résistance? Casino semaphore. Red for message ready. Black 23 for meet date. Roulette as Morse code. Rather brilliant, really. Though one does wonder what happens if you accidentally bet on the wrong color. Terribly sorry. We thought you were coming Tuesday, not Thursday. Do try not to get arrested. Silence, as they say, never sounded quite so expensive.
Elvira, listen carefully. One slip. Just one. And you're not facing committee disapproval. You're facing Gestapo interrogation. If they find out about your proclivities, they will want to make an example.
Darling, I've been making examples of men my whole life. The Gestapo will just have to get in line. Christopher, I was born for this.
And there, you see, was the terrible gamble. A woman willing to risk not just death, but the particular cruelties reserved for those the Reich deemed undesirable. The question wasn't whether she was brave enough. The question was whether luck would hold, or whether any Nazi suspicions would bloom into certainty. Mid-August 1942. Elvira checked into the Hotel Palacio, where she just happened to run into an old friend, Henri Chauvel, former boutique savior, current collaborationist extraordinaire. His new hobby, playing Cupid for the Abwehr. And there, waiting with all the eager anticipation of a puppy promised walkies, was our old friend Bibi. Poor, smitten Bibi, whose career and rather delicate emotional state both hinged entirely on Elvira's continued cooperation. 3 nights at the casinos followed. Bibi and Chauvel were absolutely thrilled. They thought she was their gold mine socialite, already paying dividends with her raid teases and delicious gossip. What they didn't know British intelligence was watching everything, watching her flirt without spilling secrets, watching her charm poor Bibi over oysters and roulette. Rather like observing a cat with a particularly dim mouse.
Elvira, mein Schatz, I need your help. They're going to send me to the Russian front if I don't deliver results. Soon. I need something. Anything.
I have something for you, Bibi. But there's a problem. Someone's been following me. Watching. A horrid man with cold eyes. I was afraid to say anything.
Schmidt! That bastard! He's Gestapo, Elvira. He's been watching you since you arrived. Watching us both. He thinks we're playing games. That's why I need something. To prove him wrong. To get him off our backs.
Bibi, listen carefully. I overheard something. Lübeck, the British are planning a bombing raid. Soon. Maybe even tonight. You must tell your superiors immediately.
Lübeck? Oh, Elvira, Liebling. This is exactly what I needed. You are fantastisch. I knew I could count on you.
Bibi, darling. Just one more thing. You know I adore helping you. But this work is terribly dangerous. Do you think you could arrange a little increase in my alimony to cover my expenses?
And there, you see, was the hook. Bibi, drowning in gratitude. Elvira, already fishing for more. What Bibi didn't know, poor, ecstatic Bibi, was that this was all part of the plan. Britain was bombing Lübeck. In fact, the raid had already started. By the time Bibi's urgent telegram reached Berlin, the RAF would be halfway home. Too late to stop. Perfect to impress. Elvira's bona fides established. Her alimony increased. And poor Schmidt still watching. When she returned, British intelligence could not help but be impressed with her performance. She could be a critical part of their spy network. Her reports and gossip could be used to confirm other parts of the misinformation they were feeding the Germans.
Lisbon appears to have yielded dividends. I assume our asset conducted herself discreetly.
Yes, sir. Entirely within the expectations of the role.
Good. One doesn't object to enthusiasm, so long as it doesn't invite unnecessary curiosity.
She understands that line very clearly, sir. And she has been careful not to cross it.
Then she may prove very useful indeed. See that she remains so.
I will, sir.
Dismissed.
And so Elvira Chaudoir, codename Bronx, became a weapon. But wielding her required precision. The tools she used were elegant, simple, and devastatingly effective. One of her tricks. Oh, this is rather good, was the dated but delayed Gambit. Using hindsight, you see, as the perfect alibi. A classic sleight, perfected by the double-cross team. Often called post-dating or lagging intelligence. The beauty of it? Our clever Bronx would predict a real upcoming Allied action such as an RAF bombing raid on a German industrial target. But in shore, the message reached the enemy after the bombs had already fallen. Clever strategy, but timing critical. Picture this: Elvira, under handler orders, but with her own twist, would first send a telegram with a coded message. What poor Bibi didn't know was that this entire story was fabricated. Oh, the bombing raid on Hamburg was real enough, but here's how the trick actually worked. On day one, after Elvira writes the letter, Harmer stamps the postmark on it to make it appear it was sent before the raid. The letter sits in the hold tray for a number of days, while RAF bombers take to the skies and reduce Hamburg to rubble. Only after the raid is complete does the letter finally reach Lisbon. By the time it reaches the bank, Hamburg is already in ruins. Bibi proclaims that Elvira has done it again. To him, her prediction looks prescient. She nailed it, he crowed to Berlin, crediting her with eerie accuracy, while the real Allied victory went unmarred. It built trust like compound interest. Harmless truths, the raid did happen after all, made the Germans believe Elvira had warned them. But the warning arrived too late to matter. These small successes would make the big lies that came later much easier to swallow. But the dated and delayed Gambit was merely one arrow in Bronx's quiver.
By the time Elvira returned from Lisbon, it was clear to us what we were dealing with. Her reporting was doing more than misleading Berlin. It was shaping expectations, reinforcing assumptions, teaching the enemy what they were prepared to believe. Elvira, codenamed Bronx, had demonstrated a rare ability. She could sell a lie and make it endure. What none of us could have known at the time was how timely that conclusion would prove to be. Years later, a brief and easily overlooked reference, released quietly among the declassified records, would point to what may have been her most consequential contribution, one involving the highest levels of government. Without it, the course of the war in 1944 might have looked very different indeed. We will return to that moment next.